Welcome everyone. Today by channel member request we have the fourth and, God willing, the last installment of the apparently very popular Starfighter series. We're going to be looking at what is probably simultaneously both the best and worst version of this aircraft, the F-104S.ASA. I say this is the best F-104 because it finally gets access to some decent kit, including AIM-9Ls, a pulse Doppler radar, and Speed A missiles. Unfortunately, you also lose the two hull-mounted missile slots and are still unable to carry a cannon and radar missiles at the same time. Once again, we're going to be running this thing with the radar missiles and not the gun, because my sponsor wouldn't be getting their money's worth if I did this the easy way. If you want to take the gun though, the strategy I'll be sharing in this video actually won't be too significantly different, as I'll explain a bit later. For those of you unfamiliar with the Speed A, it's a 25G Italian Sparrow variant, which is about halfway between the E and the F/M versions of the AIM-7 in terms of performance, though it has a bit better close range performance than those other versions due to having better acceleration. This is of course totally useless for the Starfighter, since for one, it quite literally cannot maneuver to save its life, but also this particular radar, while not terrible overall, has a very difficult time acquiring targets quickly, and like the F-104S, which I reviewed previously, its ACM mode only has a 4-kilometer range, making it essentially useless. But the real kicker is, for the privilege of this moderate bump and missile capability, you now get to fight 4th gens, since you now sit at a battle rating of 12.0, and since 12.7 and 13.0 are incredibly oversaturated, you're going to be up-tiered almost every single match. And at this BR, you'll regularly be fighting R-27ERs, Phoenixes, and AMRAMs, all of which drastically outrange your Speed A's. Plus there's another little fun trait of this aircraft which you're not likely to notice until you actually fly it out into a match. And that is, your RWR not only doesn't give you a launch warning, but also won't even tell you what direction the enemy is pinging you from. This leaves you not only at a major kinetic disadvantage at BVR due to the range of your missiles, but also makes you essentially deaf and blind. What's even more perplexing about this is that you have the Tornado ADV at the same BR and the same tech tree, with twice as many missiles and better BVR missiles at that, a better RWR and an internal cannon, but hey, what the hell do I know? Anyways, all this leaves us in quite a pickle, since we have worse dogfight performance than anything else in the sky, average BVR capabilities, below average situational awareness, and only 4 missile shots to work with. The only advantage we have is the fact that we're a tad bit faster than most of the competition, and it's this single strong point which we're going to be forced to base our actions around. So here's the strategy I came up with. If you saw the video I did on the F-104S, you might recall that I recommended you just bum rush people right at the beginning of the match by flying straight towards the enemy space climbers at max speed. Unfortunately with the ASA, that exact strategy isn't quite going to work due to the aforementioned BVR disadvantage, but we can do something quite similar. Basically, we want to stay out of the crosshairs of enemy BVR missiles during the opening stages of the match, while also using our speed to get ourselves altitude and position. Here's the best way to accomplish that in my experience. Right at the start, you want to climb at 5 degrees wide out to the left side of the map. This will get you speed and altitude, but will make you a very unappetizing target for enemies to take BVR shots at. Also, during this stage, you'll want to keep your radar off, as you'll need all the amount of extra surprise you can get. Once you reach halfway up the map, you can then turn back in towards the enemy bases and start visually scanning for high-flying enemies leaving a contrail. If you see more than one target, attack the one at the back of the pack so that you're less likely to be jumped on by the rest of them. Be aware though, your radar is only going to pick up targets within about 20 kilometers, so again, track your targets visually and only activate the radar once you're confident they're in range, as you don't want to give them any more advanced warning than necessary. 15 kilometers is about the maximum effective range for the Speed A's, but 10 is going to be more effective if you can get close. A good way to tell if you're within range generally is if you can actually start to see the outline of the jet rather than just seeing them as a small dot on your screen. This isn't by any means a guaranteed kill, and you won't always find someone in this position, but I generally find that this will get you a kill about 40 to 50% of the time. And if you're running the gun instead of firing in a Speed A, just get close enough to fire off a 9L while keeping your radar off the whole time, of course. If you get within lock range and they don't start maneuvering or dropping countermeasures, they probably haven't seen you. After this, first turn your radar back off and then turn around towards the center of the map. Usually by this point, people will have started dogfighting at low altitude, and if you can dive down on slow enemies who are at low altitude, your speed will easily allow you to hit 9L shots from about 4 kilometers away, though 3.5 would be my recommended unless you're in a hurry. With this strategy, you'll usually get at least 1 kill, sometimes 2, and very occasionally 3, but obviously with only 4 missiles to fire, that's about as high of a kill count as you can really expect. Well, okay, actually that's a bit of a lie. You do have 1/5 shot. When you're out of missiles, you could go back to the airfield and rearm, but you're unlikely to be able to do anything useful if you do. Instead, I prefer to do the more sportsmanlike thing and make Ancestor proud instead, and try to ram this multi-ton flying hunk of garbage into unsuspecting enemies. To be honest, I didn't manage to successfully ram anyone, but this serves as a great distraction for your teammates, and did sometimes cause people to crash while pulling out of the way, which was extremely funny. Overall, I don't know if I would say that the F-104S.ASA is the absolute worst fighter for its BR in the game, but it is definitely a contender. So if you're a masochist, play this thing ignoring my advice, and I'm sure you'll have a great time with it. And if you're just a diehard spaghetti main, hopefully this strategy will help you out a bit. If you want to see more guides like this one, check out the playlist, link in the description, and if you have some sort of awful aircraft you want to see me cover, please consider my channel membership program. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.